So how's your day going?
It's going good. We're actually working on onboarding somebody to come join the team and help me with the acquisitions because we're about to start off a big direct mail and PPC campaign this month. So we're really excited about that. And I don't want to be drowning in phone calls and things. So it's a big step for us.
That's awesome. Okay, I would love to go into PPC, and could you explain what PPC is and why do you feel like it's a good move to kind of like make a whole campaign out of it?
Yeah. So there's two major categories when it comes to marketing that we particularly see in real estate investing, or really any kind of investing. There's outbound marketing, which is your traditional cold calling, text messaging, and then there's inbound marketing where somebody's reaching out to us. We've posted a website and they, Google search, I want to sell my house fast and hey, there's Jeff, I'm going to click and I'm going to call him. That's inbound marketing. So we have done outbound marketing for a while with cold calling and texting. And really, what you find is the number of leads per contract is very high. Like for every 50 to almost 100 leads, maybe you get one contract out of that.
Mhm.
But they are less costly per lead. Whereas you go to something inbound on a PPC, now we're using Google Ads. We're trying to attract and draw the attention of somebody who Googles, I need to sell my home quick. I want them to see my ad, my advertisement, and come to me. And so, what you tend to find on PPC or inbound is these leads are significantly more expensive each. However, maybe instead of one contract per 50 or 100, I can close one contract out of 10 to 15. And so, there's
Wow.
some efficiency of time and just narrowing it down. Frankly, I'd rather spend a bit more money and get higher quality leads than have to sort through 99 people who didn't want to work with me in the first place.
I like that. That's cool. That reminds me of this meme kind of that I saw, or this video, I guess, the other day where somebody was saying, I don't necessarily know what the services were. We're just gonna assume like maybe a will or something. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But the whole video was saying like, the client is, you're too expensive for me. And then, their response was, well, I'm going to make you richer so that I'll be less expensive for you. So that just reminds me of that.
And that's exactly right. When you really start looking at ratios and KPIs and you see how it all comes together, that starts to go away. So when I tell people, we were using PPL before, which is pay per lead. Somebody else is doing inbound marketing. And I would tell them, like, yeah, each lead costs me about $300 a pop. And they go, $300 a lead? That's outrageous. I said, well, take it to its logical conclusion though. If it takes me 10 leads or 12 leads to convert a contract, how much did I spend to get a contract? Okay, well, 3,600 bucks. And what if I told you that every contract I do, I make $22,000? Is this $3,600 a problem anymore? No, our problem is really a confidence issue. Can I handle this when it comes in? And if the answer is yes, then who cares?
Yeah, exactly. And I just realized I forgot, for those of you that don't know you, who is Jeff Smith?
Excellent question. I ask myself that all the time. I don't know who I am anymore. It's all very confusing. But the version right now is my name is Jeff Smith. I'm based out of Houston, Texas. I am full time into real estate investing. Right now, we're primarily focused on building our single family fix and flip business, really concentrating in Houston. We're about to onboard a closer to do that. I have done single family wholesale for a while. We've also plugged in with multifamily passive investing, which is another adventure. And then land development and subdivides is something that I personally really enjoy doing. I'm pretty excited about that. And, either at the end of this year or next year, might look into some commercial property. So we've kind of touched a bit of everything. And I also coach people on the side on how to have better sales conversations, how to negotiate, and how to close. So that's another thing that I do.
That's awesome. And did you start getting into all of this after you joined Sub 2 or before?
So before joining Sub 2, we were chasing after primarily just wholesale, single family. Ran into land development totally by accident, about a lead that came in, and that's another story. after sub two, we, again started to experiment with doing creative deals, and we went to the land subdivides. A lot of things we had tried out before joining the sub two community, and then really buckled down to get, hey, let's really crush this one aspect, and then we'll go augment with whatever we want in the future.
And it back. I was here though the whole time.
We're back from our commercial break.
Our 5-second commercial break.
Yep.
Okay, so very interesting. So I guess, how long have you been in the field? How did you even start in this field? Is this like, does your family do real estate or land or anything like that? Or did you just kind of stumble upon it?
So funny enough, my grandfather was a commercial broker for a while, but real estate was not really something I had been brought up in at all. My mother was a partner in her own CPA firm, and my father was a regional salesman for a large pipe distribution company. So I did not grow up in the atmosphere truly of entrepreneurship or real estate. And so I entered after going to school at Clemson. I went in the oil and gas world, and I went to the Middle East for a few years and racked up a nice bit of money. And when I came back, I had remembered a story my father told me. He said, look, at some point, the guys that I really knew who were successful, they found a way to start their own business. And as a kid, I'm like, this is crazy. I would never want to do that. That just seems insane. Well, when I came back, I felt that I had some more capacity in the tank. And I started to look at kind of other little side hustles, little other sources of income, experimented with a couple of stupid things, and eventually came on rental properties. And I thought, hey, this is kind of cool. Let's start experimenting with that. And bought a couple of houses, bought a couple of fourplexes, and then quickly realized, hey, if I keep throwing down payments, I'm going to eventually run out of some of that Middle East money that I racked up the past few years. So I started to look into other ways to acquire assets and really get the business humming.
Nice. And I guess that's where you found some too. So um it doesn't necessarily sound like right now you're in the was it acquisition phase of yourself to try to build your portfolio, or am I incorrect?
So we're doing two things simultaneously. So within our business, we want to take in any kind of properties that we can fix and flip or wholesale. We're happy to do that. And what we realized in Q3 and Q4 is about 80% of the deals that I was contracting, they were cash deals. Fix and flip, that's what the seller needed, and that's fine. What that means is I got 1 out of 5 that are sub twos for a
Mm.
variety of reasons. And so in Q3, Q4, as we were kind of ramping up our inbound system, we were just assigning everything out. We just wanted cash in the door, get things going. Well, in 2024, what we've decided to do is, yeah, let's keep taking down the cash deals and fix flipping them because that's fun. It's good for Instagram reels, and we make active income off of that. Like, people get afraid of active income. It's like, no, you need this. You have to have it. But with
Yeah.
any sub twos that I contract, now we're going to execute those as either wraps, or if they're particularly special, we will hold on to them.
Mm.
And
Okay.
so one thing that I was always taught, that I've been taught recently, was kind of the bucket system of income, where you have your active income on top, and whatever spills off of the active goes into your passive income, and then whatever the passive generates, that goes into your fund money.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah,
Hmm.
Sam Singh and Marlon and Caroline, when they came to Houston, they put that up on the screen. I thought that is such a cool concept to kind of put everything in its right place.
That is a cool concept. Oh my gosh. I am definitely new to finances and personal finances and just investments and everything in general. I haven't been in, in sub two that long. And my family wasn't one to really invest, or at least not show me. So I'm really interested now, learning all about taxes and personal savings and personal finance and all of that. So anytime anybody brings it up, if you have any more that you want to share of that you've learned, feel free to do so.
I mean, that was just one of the big starting points. Just again, like, don't be afraid of active income. Like, you need this one, because your W-2 is what helps you qualify for loans, but then let that spill over into the passive investments that you're holding.
Mhm.
Because like you buy a rental and you buy a rental property, what's the cash flow on that? Like a couple $100 a month? Like
Yeah.
maybe you've really scored one and it's $400. Well, how many of those do you have to knock down if you're trying to replace an $80,000 a year income stream?
Oh
Like
my gosh.
that's going to take a while. So you need to have both of these things available.
Mhm. That's actually another question that I have, or that I have for just most people in general. So I see a lot of people that say, "Oh, I want to do real estate so that I can end up quitting my W two." Um, but where, or at least I don't know if you've done the same or if you know people who have, what are they supplementing for that W 2? Is it only, single families that are generating them a couple $100s a month, but they just accumulate enough? Or do you think that they're also doing more wholesaling and flipping or something so that they're kind of counting it as active income, just an alternative active income?
Right. I'd say they're doing a combination
Okay.
because, again, with a passive rental and you're making $200 a month, multiply that out. That's $2,400. Well, what if you go do a single flip and make 30 grand? How many houses do you have to have cash flowing that much to get these things to be equal? A
Hmm.
lot. So chances are really what they're doing a combination where they've been able to fix and flip properties, get enough income generated that they can keep going, and then do the passive ones.
Okay. That makes sense. Mm. Well, that helps. Cool. And so I would say, at least from what I've seen, I feel like before I even came to Houston, I would see your name pop up every once in a while. So for me, I would think of you as more of like a sub two leader. Is that, and how you were kind of mentioning that you help people understand sales processes and stuff? Is that something that, you know do you enjoy teaching, or why did you decide that you wanted to teach others this instead of kind of gatekeeping the whole process for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, this is such a common question, especially when like you look at any kind of mentorship and you go, why, people are always blowing up the comments like, if this is so amazing, like why would you be selling it and teaching it and generating competition and blah 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 blah. And one, for starters, it's because I enjoy doing it. I genuinely enjoy watching people grow and improve, and as they have these aha moments. Like, do you remember any teachers in high school or college or middle school or like, and you could just see that as they saw you improve, like they would get joy out of it.
Yeah.
Like, but none of us go back and say, well, man, our fifth grade teacher, like they were just training the competition. Like nobody thinks this, but we have kind of the same thing over here. So now I think it is worthwhile to figure out who are the people teaching because they're enjoying it and who are the people teaching it because they couldn't figure it out on their own. They're just trying to monetize something else. Right. So that's why, like in our business, like I'm doing sales coaching because I enjoy it. But I'm also actively in the business because I want to add content to my course of my own call recordings. So it keeps
Mm.
me accountable too. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you and say, "Oh yeah, I do it for free and make nothing." Like no, it pays some of the bills and pays my mortgage and stuff, but the big money is really in the fixing and flipping and the passive income. But I do it because I genuinely like it. I have fun doing it and I can see people being successful. Like Houston is the fourth largest city in the United States, 4 million people.
Oh my gosh.
There's a ton of houses out here to go around. I'm not particularly worried about the guy in Phoenix or the guy in the North Dakota coming down and crossing paths with me later. It's just not the problem I'm worried about.
That's cool. Yes, I want to, was it delve into that abundance mindset, I guess. Did you always kind of have that, or did you ever, or did you, what made you start thinking that way, that, oh, even if there's more people that come in here, not only is it just the size of Houston, but I feel like it is still a mindset thing to understand that, there's enough of the pie for everybody.
I think one of the things for me that I noticed was when we decided, hey, let's just get deep in Houston. Like we're just going to understand this city. And in spite of other guys doing tons of deals, because there's plenty of guys in Houston doing more deals than me,
Hmm.
and yet we still somehow found a way to have consistent $100,000 months. Like we just kind of came, we kind of not literally, but we just kind of came out of nowhere, entered this market, and we're knocking down that many deals per month. Like call me crazy, but that means there's got to be plenty out there. This isn't NBC that I'm trying to compete against in the news or something. There's tons and tons, and like not every bit of marketing crosses paths with everyone either.
Yeah, that's true.
But when
Yeah.
I was in this state of, oh, I got to go into Phoenix, I got to go into California, I got to go all of these places, like that almost had the opposite reaction of like, wow, there really isn't enough because I got to go all over the country to get deals.
Mm,
And we did $100,000 per month consistently in one city. I think that was the moment where I went, there's plenty. We
wow.
just had to know how to do it right.
Yeah, that's interesting. That I have never thought about, but that's a really interesting dichotomy comes to mind, but that's not the right word. Um, kind of contradiction where you would think, oh, if I'm going to more places, I'm going to get more deals. But because you feel like I have to go to more places in order to get deals, you it's that scarcity mindset where it's, oh, if I just stick with this one thing or a couple of these things, I'm not going to have enough. I'm not going to have enough deals because I need all of this. Rather
Right.
than when you actually realize, no, if you focus and on a market that's pretty big, you will get what you need.
Yeah, if you focus and get the system in place that's generating leads, if you're consistently answering, if you're refining your sales skills, if you're refining your disposition side, whether that's fix and flip or wholesaling, you can make it work. I'm not going to lie to everybody and say it's super easy. It wasn't. It was several years of struggle and figuring this thing out and spending a bunch of money until we really got it.
Yeah. And what made you, I guess, because you, from what I know, you're a closer. You're good at the sales process and all of that. How did you develop those skills?
Oh gosh, so this is funny. Um, so the reason this happened, the reason I'm so ferocious about doing this and then sharing it is there was a lead we called on. It was a probate lead, and this lead had two acres of land. I'm just going to make the story short. And they said, "Hey, we're looking to get 180 grand for this." And I had learned from another little mini mentorship about finding developers who would buy this thing. And so I said, "Okay, cool. This guy wants 180 grand per acre in this building area." And so I call up a few developers. First one's not interested, second one's not interested. Third guy's like, "Yeah, I would absolutely love to do it. Where is it?" I said, "Well, it's basically within a par 5 of you. You hit a couple golf shots and you'd smack the side of the house. That needs to be torn down." And he said, "Cool. I'll pay like $7 a square foot for it." And you multiply this out real quick, and ladies and gentlemen, he's basically saying, I will pay 325 grand per acre. They were asking 180. And I had a mental breakdown because I didn't know how to close either one of them. I'm like, I know what you'll pay for it. I'll know what you'll sell it for. And I have no freaking idea how to get either one of you to sign the dotted line. I have no clue.
Mm.
Like, it was just horrifying. And so I scrambled really fast. I signed up for a sales mentorship, called the guy. I was like, listen, I need you to teach me like everything you know immediately because I need to sign this thing up. I'm staring down the barrel of a $200,000 wholesale assignment fee. I need help right now. And so I got what I needed to get the job done. And it was very difficult. And it was 7 months of probate shenanigans and title. Oh my God. Like that part was tough. But after that, I said to myself, I am never going to let myself be in a position where I don't know what to do. They don't have to love my price. It doesn't even have to be a deal, but I never want to be in this position where I literally know the numbers here and and I can't I'm trapped mentally and like not knowing what to do.
Mhm.
So I studied a lot after that and what I started to realize next was I don't know what good questions sound like. Like I have this
Mm.
script and I have this laundry list of questions and I don't know how to wield them. It's like giving a surgeon a tray of tools and said, "Go do this heart surgery. Here's a scalpel and here's all this other cool stuff. Figure it out." And the surgeon's like, "What the hell is all this crap?" And so I finally learned how to ask good questions and what the process was to get from point A to point B and all the way to the finish line. And what I realized along the way is people are like, "Damn, Jeff, you're actually really good at this." And I said, "Well, thank you. And I enjoy teaching this. Maybe I should, really try and work and help people. So that is the origin story of how that happened.
Interesting. Wow. That's cool. Did you close that deal?
We did. And that's what allowed me to jump into this full time. It's still the biggest assignment fee I've ever done, 200 grand for 2 acres in Houston. And the developer built a bunch of townhouses on it. We've closed several other 6-digit deals because they were land to developers.
Wow.
And that's why we entered that space for a while.
So what you're telling me is that I should ditch everything I'm doing and going into land and development.
No, absolutely not. Not because there's not enough dirt to go around. There's plenty of dirt everywhere. But it is kind of a two-edged sword in that they the checks are very large and it's really fun to do them. Like I personally enjoy them. I see the vision. Other people love seeing houses fix and flip because you get to see it on HGTV and that's cool. I
Yeah.
like the land stuff. The difference is that I have never had a land development deal that took shorter than 7 months to complete. From contract to close, it's never been shorter than 7 months. And I mean true land development, not buying a vacant lot and parking a house on it. I mean, we're taking down several acres, if not 100 acres, and we're going to park 400 houses on it. It's never been shorter than 7 months.
That's interesting. It makes sense now that I understand more of the land, and you need to understand zoning, and if you don't have the right zoning, then you have to go restructure all of that and then get all the site plans, and I definitely know a lot of what goes on in land deals, definitely not everything, but I hadn't realized, or I hadn't really put together that it takes even more time than buying a multifamily. And a commercial multifamily can be really complex. And even that could take just a couple months, not necessarily 7.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
Oh man.
particularly with the interest rates and really the bond rates where they are, new development has had a lot of pressure on it. Um, just because things just got really expensive. I mean, I had a couple of deals fall apart. I was going to make a ton of money on them. They were going to be fantastic. And, the market switched and they went away. And that was really painful.
Dang.
Yeah.
Oh, I can imagine. I actually know somebody, or I have somebody on my team that that speaks very highly of you and speaks very highly of your process. And what's interesting is it's Andrew, by the way, but he says that your process is very much a process. Like when I think of sales, I think of somebody who has gone through the work to understand how to see where a certain um I guess conversation is going. And I don't know, I feel like it's a lot of skills that you learn and then you kind of improv it while you're in the conversation with the seller or whoever you're with.
Yeah.
Andrew, for me, not saying that it's like this, but he makes it sound like it's part of that, but it's a specific, like you're guiding the conversation to hit these certain points. And he believes, he's like, well, if I am talking to closers and I want to or if they're going into Jeff's programming, they just need to learn the process. They need to learn how to kind of tick the conversation to go into these certain boxes and then they're good. Like they don't need to know necessarily all a bunch of random skills and negotiation skills and all the things that I would think. Is that true or?
There is definitely elements of truth to that. So Andrew is actually my first student. So when I was
Oh, okay.
trying this out, it was last year, and I was like, I just want to find out if this is something I would enjoy if I took it seriously. And Andrew was 1 out of 6 students that I tried this out on, and he's done amazing ever since then. But what he's talking about is a lot of people don't think through what this path really is. What has to happen from the day that Jada calls me on day 1 to the time that I actually sign? Has anybody really thought through what this path looks like? And if you think about it, in a lot of sales training, they don't go into that exactly. They're like, here's your script, and here's the questions you're supposed to ask. But what's inherently the problem with this?
Yeah.
Your seller didn't get a copy of the script. And then they go off script. And you go, That's not what you're supposed to say. That's not your line. Your lines are, I want to sell at 10 cents on the dollar, and you said something else. So the way I teach this to everybody is I say, don't think of yourself like a salesman. Think of yourself as a real estate doctor. So
Mm.
Dr. Jada goes to school. And what does she study? She studies all these diseases and all these things that affect people, and she studies all the treatments that go with them. But then the other thing she studies is all the symptoms of this disease. So that when somebody finally walks into Dr. Jada's office and says, I have a problem, she starts asking them, hey, tell me about what seems to be bothering you. Tell me about where this has gone wrong. How long ago did this happen? Where else is this impacting you? What happens if we don't get this treated? Okay, Dr. Jada's brain is starting to tell her, I've just diagnosed about 5 different symptoms. I think it's this disease, and that means this prescription goes with it. So when we plan this out and we understand the problems that a lot of people have, it's far easier for us to recognize this is the disease you're experiencing, and I have the right prescription. And yes, it's more cowbell, but in some cases, it's either cash or it's sub 2 or it's whatever it's going to be. So the process is, let's have this first conversation. What seems to be the problem today? What has brought you to my doctor's office? Tell me about what you're really concerned about in this whole thing. What is the challenge you're facing that's really causing you to reach out for help? What have you tried so far? What didn't work? Tell me about what you've been dissatisfied with. Okay, it sounds like this is what you got. You got chicken pox. Are you at a position where you're ready to get a treatment, or are you still shopping around for other doctors? No, you're good? Okay, here's the deal. You take this, this, and this, and if you sign up now, it's a $100 copay. Are you ready to go? That is the process, and it sounds so silly when we put it in perspective of doctors, but in a manner of speaking, a doctor, they're just selling something else. They're selling their knowledge and experience and saying, "Here's the treatment. Do you want it?" That's what we're doing.
Yeah, that absolutely makes sense when you bring it up. I and a lot of things are just clicking as you're saying them. Because I remember I would be in the Daily Dial and Caroline would mention stuff like this, like, or she would mention, if you're going to the doctor's office, you don't just tell them, treat me. Like you have to tell them what your symptoms are in order for them to diagnose you properly. So, do the same thing with these sellers. They're not, they're saying, just treat me, but you need to know the symptoms. And I don't know why it never really clicked until the way that you said it. No wonder you have a good program. No wonder Andrew's
Well,
great.
and think of it this way. Like I talked about this on Daily Dial this morning. I said, how many of you guys are afraid of asking these questions because you fear being nosy?
Mm.
A lot of them raise their hands like, yeah, I don't want to be nosy. It's like, think of this scenario. Patient walks into the office, says, I have a cough. I'm kind of tired of it. And lunatic Dr. Smith says, cool story, bro. Here's some Tylenol cold. Get out of my office. Have fun. Guy goes, he's still coughing. It's getting worse. He's like, I don't like this. This sucks. I'm going to go get a second opinion. Goes to Dr. Jada's office. Dr. Jada said, tell me what's going on. Well, I got a cough. It's been hurting a long time. And Dr. Jada is not taking the cough as the explanation anymore. It's like, that's just surface level. That's just one symptom. Hang on a second. Tell me more about how long this is going on. Do you have a history of smoking? Do you have a history of anybody else? Like, yeah, I've been smoking 3 packs a day for the past 5 years. And you're like, okay, that's not good. Let's do some tests here. And Dr. Jada realized, holy cow, this guy's got lung cancer. If we don't ask questions and work through this, we can't actually help the person.
100%. Oh my gosh. Wow. That really puts it into perspective when people are saying, we're here to help. Or some people say, we're the prize. I think it's funny. But I like the first way that people put it, where it's like, yeah, you are absolutely there to help. And if you're talking to sellers or if you're talking to agents, as long as you have that in mind and you're not just, oh, this is another assignment, or oh, I can, like, let me try to lowball here so that I can get as much, money as I can. I think that's where a lot of the confidence comes in, and a lot of just deals seem like they run more smoothly because and I think it goes into, being it's not only about helping people and like where that goes, but I think it goes into when you genuinely believe that you're helping people, you're more authentic. And whether you're on the phone, whether you're in person, whatever, I think people really can feel that authenticity with people. And that I think is huge.
Yeah. I mean, you definitely have to be genuine, but you also have to be an expert, again, of these diseases that
Mhm.
are out there in the treatments. I was speaking with Brett Daniels at the Closer Octagon, and he and I were sitting there with our crowd. We were like talking to the crowd while I'm making calls. And we talked about how when some people listen to us, they say, "Man, Jeff, Brett, like these just sound like you just get laydowns all day. Like they just sign up, whatever." And we said, "Well, okay, we are good at what we do, fair enough. But the real secret here is when you've truly figured out what the problem is that the seller is experiencing,
Mhm.
and then when your offer lines up perfectly with what that problem is and solves it, that's when it sounds like a laydown because the seller's like, of course, this is the right solution. Why would I choose anything else?
Yep.
So even if I'm genuine, but I don't understand what my options are and what I have to solve problems, even if I'm genuine, I can't actually help the person no more than somebody who comes to me with a broken arm that I can help, even though I genuinely care about them. The only solution I can do is let's go to a hospital. But if I'm the surgeon, I'm like, I can set bones. I know how this works. I got you. That's the person that can actually get the deals closed.
That's awesome. So how would you I know that you're experiencing all of these different categories within real estate, I guess. Um, how would somebody start trying to do the same thing? Like, they understand, okay, I'm here to help people, blah, 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 but I'm trying to do X, Y, and Z, and none of them are really working right now. How can they get to your level?
So one thing to start off is go find people who are executing, not just somebody who says, "Oh, I pulled a list of 15,000 leads. I got more people to call than I know what to do." With dude, I can pull a list of 15,000 people. That's not hard. Go find somebody who says, "I'm executing 4 to 8 deals a month or more than that, and I need help." Go learn from that person. Go figure out what they're doing, right? Whether it's marketing, go work for them for a couple of years. Like when I joined Sub 2, there weren't teams at all. In hindsight, if I was doing this all over again, I'd probably go work for a team for a while, truly understand the business. But
I
that's what
agree.
I would do. If I was somebody who is just struggling, like, man, I cannot figure this out, you go find a mentor who is executing the business that you want to replicate.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah. I think that's a good idea. I think it makes sense as well as you're saying it, why Pace also told people to do that last year, where it was, we made a whole challenge out of it, the whole 18-minute challenge, because there were so many people that didn't understand what to do with themselves. And yeah, I agree. Where I think joining a team, I think there's a lot that goes into joining a good team as well. There's not only a sense of camaraderie that I think helps with motivation sometimes, but then you learn, depending on the team, you can learn a lot from your closers. You can learn a lot from the mentors if they listen to your recordings to kind of give you feedback. And yeah, there's just a lot that, and then you can also see how the team is run, so that once you start getting better and you want to create your own team, like you were saying, you get a some sort of guideline as to how you would want to go about it.
And make sure that you even like the business at all. Like running
Yeah.
a business is hard. I think people grossly underestimate. I saw this meme the other day. It's like, we didn't join, entrepreneurship because we thought it was going to be hard and hustle. We joined because we thought it was going to be super easy and we were going to make tens of millions of dollars. That's why we joined. And then you get into it and it's not that.
Yep.
I mean, I know some of these wholesale companies out there where they're crushing it, they're making tons of deals, but their acquisition guys, like for every 10 deals they do, they get to keep one of the houses. So they get to build their own portfolio as they're working for another group who maybe is far better on the marketing and dispo. And this person just masters sales. Like I get to get what I want, which is financial freedom in building my portfolio and I don't have to run a company, that
Wow.
might not be a bad idea for some people. Like it's okay. Like entrepreneurship is freaking hard. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise.
What did you think? So you had said that you went into like the oil industry.
Mhm.
Um, I'm gonna lump that in as like a W-2. Uh,
Yes.
what did you learn from that, or what skills did you learn that you were able to translate into entrepreneurship now?
Yeah. So there's really two major skills that I took away from that. So, and both of them came from my experience in the Middle East, and then I deployed them later. So within the Middle East, I was working in Saudi Arabia. We were building a petrochemical facility. Dow Chemical and Saudi Aramco got together and said, "Hey, let's build this $20 billion facility. It'll be super fun. It'll be awesome. Let's just rock and roll and do it." Sure, what the hell? Why not? So they do this thing called Sadara, and it's already built, and it's cool. And so you have well over a dozen different cultures, languages, all converging in one spot. You have the Arabs, you have the Indians, the Pakistanis, the Filipinos, the Chinese, the Koreans, the Japanese, Europeans, South Africans, the Americans. Like everyone is out there and everyone's converged on this one spot. And the only language anybody has in common is English. And it's mostly the second language for everybody out there. Okay. So I'm out there as the site project engineer for one particular aspect of it. We were contracted to build the storage tanks for the facility. And so I'm trying to be the connector between the home engineering office and the guys in the field. And I'm doing some other special projects, whatever. Anyway, the point is, when you have all these guys coming together, one of the things that I had to learn very quickly is if I don't communicate very clearly and precisely, they're going to get confused and they're not going to tell me they're confused because there's a bit of a cultural barrier of I can't say no to anybody and I don't want to look like I don't know what I'm doing. And so they'll go out and I'll say, go build this, storage tank and make it round and make it tall. And I walk out there and it's square. Well, whose fault is that? It's my fault. It's my fault because I didn't communicate clearly. And I was making assumptions that when they were nodding their heads saying, yeah, we get it. And maybe that nod didn't look as confident as it should have been, is I started to realize, hold on a second, kind of like Ron Swanson. I'm worried what you just heard me say was go build a storage tank and make it tall. What I said was go build the storage tank and make it round and tall, right? So
Mhm.
to get very detail oriented on did they receive the message I'm telling them? And then the second skill I learned was actually creating standards and processes and writing out instructions. So there was a couple little mini projects, and I was designing them for the field guys to go execute. And I became very detailed with drawings, and here's the step-by-step guide, and here's how things are going to work. And there was a couple other things I did like this, but those two skills I took back with me. So when I went and did things with my church and with my other projects and with my jobs, I learned how to make these very detail oriented. So I kind of give the example like, God forbid I get hit by a bus. Somebody can pick this up and say, oh, I understand what he was trying to do. This is really clear.
Very useful. Both of those. Those are incredible. Oh my gosh. I had not understood the power of processes and SOPs until I joined this group and have Andrew and Brad and KJ and Joseph helping me, or I guess we're all partnering together. Oh my gosh, the true integrators, Brad and Joseph, are amazing. I'm
Yeah.
so glad that they have all of those processes written down. It's amazing.
Mhm.
It truly is. It's a beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful craft.
I mean, and the thing is with processes that, and I suffer a little bit of perfectionism in that I don't like taking action unless I know something's going to work.
Yeah.
But really, I should have been reflecting the opposite. If I wrote out a process and I adhered to it and it didn't work, okay, cool. I can look back at the process, make some adjustments, and
Mhm.
figure it out from there. But the point is to adhere to it so you're not just firing off in 15 different directions and you don't know where to debug whatever's not working.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. That's cool. And I wanted to go back to the Closers Octagon just because, Brent Daniels is pretty big in the space if you know Brent Daniels.
It's kind
Why
of a
did
big
you,
deal.
yeah, he's a little bit of a big deal, just a little bit. um, why did you even go into the Closers Octagon? Why was that something that you wanted to do? Um, you know, I some people may think, did people want to brag or did they want to like show everybody how good they were, or are they just looking to kind of get a sense of where their metrics are for themselves?
Oh yeah, 100%. I'm an egomaniac. I wanted everybody to know how awesome I was and worship the ground I walk on. That is 100% true. The alternative version that I told everybody was that, um, I mean, one, there is something to be said where, people want to know that they're working with somebody who is high quality,
Mhm.
right? So, like anybody can say, I'm a really good closer, I'm a really good marketeer. And then what's the next question? Like, well, show me.
Yep.
Like, I want to see it. And so that was part of it for me is like I do want people to think if I go talk to Jeff, I know he's going to do a good job for me. This is not a waste of a lead I'm sending to him because I feel responsible for that.
Mhm.
Second thing was I was building up the coaching business, and so it is a little bit of good publicity. But the third thing that's also really helpful is you do get to listen to other closers and keep refining your skills because sometimes they got some really cool stuff and it really works. Otherwise, I wouldn't go to Daily Dial when I got started. I'd have been like, nope, I got this myself. But I still pop into other Daily Dials from time to time just to get a second opinion about maybe something I'm chasing. And maybe I think I have a good idea. I was like, you know what? I'd kind of like to hear what Jason Lombardi has to say about this. You know what? I bet you Creighton Bertrand has got a good idea about this. I bet you Marlon's got a couple of really good ideas on how to handle this. And sometimes they're aligned with what I think, and sometimes they surprise me and they've got some really cool stuff. So I think there's always opportunities to keep learning and and also just to go and have fun. Oop, you're muted. Your microphone went out. Try again.
How's that?
Okay, I can hear you.
Cool. I appreciate that. Your, I guess, the alter ego that's not as
The
self-aggrandizing.
non-egotistical version.
Yeah, I appreciate how open you are. Uh, I feel like a lot of people, especially as they're starting to get into the field, they'll, sometimes you get that egotistical kind of. You think I'm the shit. I know what I'm about. I know what's going on, and it's kind of yeah, exactly. And I was watching I watch a lot of Alex Hormozy videos, and he mentions multiple times how when he was, I don't know, 26 or something, that's when he saw Kylie Jenner become a billionaire at 20, and he at the time he was owning gyms, and he thought that he was kind of the talk of the town, and so that kind of humbled him, but then also motivated him to to do more, and then really actually start going out looking for mentors and such. So I appreciate that someone of your caliber and of what you do as well is also kind of just affirming that that's a good way to go. It's good to listen to other people.
Yeah, still learning.
Very nice. Well, what would be some last or final thoughts that you'd want to share, either to help people that are just starting out, help people that have been doing either wholesaling or anything in the field, and are reaching like they're kind of plateauing and they don't know where to go from there, or anything.
Yeah. So I'd say for anybody just getting started, um, like the most important skill that I have learned in this whole thing is sales and communication. And it's not even close. Okay. If you know sales and you can communicate and you learn to ask good questions and take them through the process, you can go sell a wide variety of products because honestly, the process, it's entirely the same. I was on a call this morning. I was talking with a guy about some like YouTube ads, and he was taking me through a sales process to tell me why their company was the right fit. And I'm like, I know everything that you're doing. This is the way I would have done it. So these skills translate across a wide variety of industries and like into wherever you're at. So go after that, learn it, master it, learn how to ask really good questions and think through what is someone actually saying, what is their actual pain point, and what are they actually looking to achieve, and be interested in figuring it out, right? And work with a group and practice it. Find people that you enjoy listening to and really study it. If you're at a higher level, so that's if you're starting. If you're at a higher level, it's the same thing. Keep refining those skills, because if you can take that $15,000 assignment fee and be better and crank that into a $20,000 assignment fee, that's such a needed improvement. That's really helpful. Once you get advanced in that, then it's a matter of, do I have my processes in place? Could I put somebody in this chair and I get hit by a bus and they're able to pick it up where I left off and nobody minds while I go get healed in the hospital? Could this group function without me because they have the instructions in place? If the answer is yes, you've built something really solid. That's amazing. If you're out and the company falls apart, then you know what your next steps are. I need to document what I'm doing so that anybody could jump in. And so that's even what I'm working on right now.
Amazing. Fantastic. And that reminds me of the cash flow quadrant with the employee and the self-employed and the business owner and the investor. I feel like, if you're out of commission and your company just falls apart, well, that just shows you that you're not really a business owner. You're self-employed, because you are the one that's keeping the company alive. So if you're gone, then the company's gone.
Yeah. And like everybody starts there. Like I don't want anybody to hear like, oh my God, I'm not a business owner, or like blah blah blah. It's like, no, like we all start there. If you're starting something from scratch, you're gonna be there. Even if you buy a business, you're probably gonna be in it to get it up and running until it's where you want. And here's the other thing. You're gonna have to do roles that you don't necessarily want to at first. And Jada, this may blow your mind here, but when I first got started, I didn't particularly want to be a closer.
Huh.
It was not something I particularly wanted to do. I would have actually been a little happier behind an Excel spreadsheet or doing process stuff like that, but it's what was needed.
Yeah.
It had to be done. Someone's going to do it. Who's it going to be? If not me, who's going to do it? So I'm going to, I've mastered this. I'm going to hire somebody to take my chair, get 75% of that weight off my shoulders so that I can graduate and go do some other cool stuff. And I don't know if we're going to enter commercial or land or what we're going to do next, probably land. But I'm probably going to step into that closer role again. But maybe it'll be a little more fun next time. If I'm negotiating, a multifamily, maybe that's more fun for me, but I can do it. So be okay when you're starting. Like, you're going to have to wear multiple hats, suck it up, deal with it. You're going to be in a new job for a while. That doesn't mean you have failed in some way. And Alex Hormozi talks about this. The first few years, you can be like, oh my God, did I make a mistake?
Yeah.
And, I'm not going to lie also. Like, again, for some people, this is not the right path for everyone. This is incredibly hard. And I have spent a ton of money making progress along the way. It is not a get rich quick thing. Like, absolutely not. It takes a long time and a lot of hard effort. But if you do it, like, go all in, leave nothing on the sidelines, and then you have the best opportunity to succeed. And a lot of people fail because they don't put in. Most people fail because they don't do anything at all. They sign up for a mentorship and they do nothing. And then another group tries it and they don't put in nearly enough. And then another group tries and they don't put in the right work. So that's my message.
Thank you. That was a great, good, solid final thought. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Jeff. It's always fun to see you in person. So now it's fun to have other people kind of know whoever watches this. So
yeah, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Cool. Well, you have a wonderful day and we will talk soon.
All right. Awesome.
Bye now.